Coming up, the play's the thing. Our panel of experts weighs in on the most anticipated productions of the fall. Hello, I'm Patrick Pacheco. Welcome to Theater, All the Moving Parts. This is part 2 of our fall preview. If you're curious about the musicals, please check that out on YouTube. But today, it's all about the plays. This fall, Broadway offers an exciting range of new and revived plays. To help us navigate the season, I'm joined by our panel of experts, Ruthie Fierberg of Broadway News, Adam Feldman, Chief Theater Critic of Time Out New York, and Jan Simpson of Broadway Radio's All the Drama. Welcome, Jan, Adam, Ruthie, to this episode of Broadway and Off-Broadway Speed Dating. This time, the plays. The season of dramas got off to a start with Call Me Izzy, with Jean Smart in the title role, and Art. And I'm sure that you all saw Art.
What is art?
What is it? It's a play.
But what is art?
It's obviously a revival of the Yasmina Reza play, which won the Tony last when it originated on Broadway as Best Play. Does it measure up?
Fun fact, 3 times the Tony Award has been won by a solo female playwright, and 2 of those times are Yasmina Reza.
That's right.
The other one is Wendy Washington.
We love fun facts. Thank you, Adam.
Just want to be here for facts.
How does it hold up?
I think it's fine. I mean, it's
Then it doesn't hold
honestly, it's a little bit, the subject matter, they're debating over a minimalist piece of art.
Neil Patrick Harris buys
the
this
most
all-white,
minimalist.
plain
buys a nearly all-white, plain. His friend Bobby Cannavale thinks it's silly. Their common friend, James Corden, is caught between the 2 positions. The actual, for me, the main discussion about the art is pretty old hat. I feel like those discussions were hashed out pretty thoroughly in the 50s and 60s. It's supposed to be about the things underlying that discussion, which is the tensions in their male friendships, and it does that well, and it's really just sort of an occasion to see actors that, you know, are very good on stage do their thing, and it's funny, and it moves quickly. And
it was fun.
Okay, there we go. Fun and fine. There we go. Punch, an import from the young Vic. James Graham, who wrote Ink, wrote this play. It's about a single punch that a young man does in a pub, I think, that sends him into the judicial system.
I have to always go further. Drink faster, walk taller, and most importantly, fight. Fight harder. Harder than anyone else.
Ruthie, you saw it.
I did. I've seen it twice already, actually. Will Harrison is the only member of the cast who's making his Broadway debut, and you would never know it. The stamina, the dialect work, the emotion that he's bringing to this role of Jacob Dunn, who is the offender, the person who took the one-punch swing and killed a man. So the play is really about the restorative justice process in the UK specifically. The first act is really about Jacob and how he becomes the type of 19-year-old that is just looking for a fight and finds one, and it ends in someone's death. And Victoria Clark and Sam Robards play the parents of the victim. Oh. James Graham, the playwright, and director Adam Penford, who's the artistic director at Nottingham Playhouse, where it started, did a lot of work pulling from the book, but I would say, from having spoken to them, it's really pulling from conversations and building the play with the real-life people, and that feels evident in watching it.
Sounds fascinating. Looking forward to it. How do you pronounce the play, Waiting for...
Godot.
Godot.
I've been told it's Godot.
Okay.
Godot.
Until 3 weeks ago, I would have had a different answer.
The answer is, in French it's Godot, and in English it's Godot. He wrote it in French, translated it into English. His favored pronunciation in French is Godot. In English, it's Godot.
And now we have the Bill and Ted of the Bill and Ted films, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Starring in it, what are you being cautious about this one, Jan?
No, I'm interested because It seems that the Beckett estate is giving them a bit more license than it has any other production. Beckett was very specific about the stage directions, about how the characters should look, and it seems as though the estate has given Jamie Lloyd a little more license. Jamie Lloyd is an acquired taste.
Sunset Boulevard acquired taste.
I've acquired it.
And I'm still working. I'm still working on this, but I'm very curious to see what he does with this.
Yes, I'm also really curious, and one of the reasons is what you have just said. I've seen Godot. I've seen Waiting for Godot many times, and usually it's pretty much the same setup because the Beckett estate has been notoriously controlling. They do seem to have some kind of new administration there because not only are they letting this happen, but I just saw a photograph of a production of Endgame that's happening in London, and that is also not the usual setup for Endgame. So it seems to be perhaps a new era in the Beckett estate, understanding that in order to continue being relevant to modern audiences, it's going to have to loosen up a little bit. The casting of Keanu and Alex seems like a stunt, but it actually, and it is a stunt, but it could really work very well because these two characters are meant to have spent a lot of time together. They're meant to be kind of goofballs. They're meant to be kind of tramps. So it's a kind of comedy that Beckett was drawing on a familiar variety of comedy of his day that now seems very antiquated to us and very quaint. So maybe doing this kind of updated version of that is more familiar to, like it's already slightly nostalgic, as the Tramps were in the 50s, but still is resonant for us. That might be a way to actually get at what the feeling of the play was in the 50s.
And I will say that although this is Keanu's Broadway debut and Alex hasn't been on Broadway since he was a child actor, in speaking to them, they both have such reverence for this material. They weren't just like, let's do Broadway together. What should we do? It was, I want to do Godot. I have studied this play. I have read this play. We know this play. We want to do this play. And we want to do it with Jamie Lloyd, who, and I will say, as the person who has acquired the taste, I fell in love with his version of Betrayal. I loved A Doll's House. I loved Sunset. Like, I am on the Jamie Lloyd train, which creates a different image on the stage. It creates a different relationship between them on the stage, yet you're hearing it kind of at the volume and the intensity of theater. So that, for me, is what I'm excited to experience.
Well, also, Godot has a reputation as a very bleak play and a long one, sometimes a boring one, and to some extent that's true. But I think moment to moment within the show, it is actually, or it should be, very entertaining and engaging, even though it is set in this sort of bleak existential desert. So having these stars that we associate more with this goofy comedic history,
element,
might be the thing that this production needs.
Another highly anticipated play comes from Samuel Hunter, who wrote The Whale, and that is Little Bear Ridge Road. It's highly anticipated because it's got Laurie Metcalf and Mika Stock, and Samuel Hunter is in his element. It is in sort of takes place at the time of COVID, and there are these two generations locked in this tense fight. Had anybody seen it prior to this, or is this the absolute world premiere?
No, it was at Steppenwolf, and it was done there, and Joe Mantello was directing it, and Laurie Metcalf and Micah Stock were both in it in that production as well. Sam Hunter has a very particular set of interests and stylistic choices that he uses almost all the time. He really likes stories about rural Idaho. He likes stories that involve usually one queer character, usually some question of family and often of faith, and the intersection among these different, and money, and the intersection among these different elements within this world. And this is in that tradition. So you've got Laurie Metcalf and Micah Stock as relatives. I think she's his aunt, and this is his first play on Broadway. And so it's long overdue.
Yeah, I mean, just yes to everything that Adam said. They're lean-in kind of plays. And I think that Joe Mantello is a lean-in kind of director. So the combination of the two of them is going to be, I think, very worthwhile.
Jan, Bess Wall's play Liberation played earlier. Did you see it the last time
I
that
did.
it was
I did.
off-Broadway?
I did.
And now it is on Broadway. How do you think it will fare on Broadway? I loved it off-Broadway, and the cast is terrific, and the cast is intact for its Broadway production.
It'll be interesting to see how it does on Broadway. In some ways, I mean, it seemed to me to be in conversation with Suffs, the musical, and I thought Suffs was going to have a long run. I was wrong. So
It's two generations, right?
This is a show about a woman trying to come to terms with what has happened to feminism over 2 generations. She looks back at her mother's life and her mother's consciousness raising group in the 70s, and she's thinking about her own life now. It's interesting because obviously it would seem to play to baby boom women who went through that experience. But I found in conversations that it really speaks to younger people.
Spoke to
It
me.
seems to be a play that millennials really take to. And when I saw it, the Roundabout, in their Laura Pels Theater, the person who had the most visible response, I talked to Bess Wall about this, was this young guy in his 20s who was bent over sobbing at the end of the show. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays. It has a diverse cast. It has an awareness of racial dynamics, an awareness of economic dynamics in terms of the feminist movement. And Bess Wall is just a really smart playwright.
And directed by Whitney White, who also
I was
did
going to say,
Saturday
it's
Church.
it's
This
a very smart play. It's a very smart production.
Why do you think it appeals to millennials?
Well, I think because whenever you hear a play is about feminism, especially past feminism, I think you expect to walk out feeling like, ugh, what we have not accomplished, how the same it is, and woe is society. But what I think this play actually does really well is give a lot of hope. I think it offers personal and emotional context to a movement that we have learned about. And then I think it transposes that to us to say, look, these women did something then. And it's not really about how far we have come or not. It's about communing with women who were our age at that time, dealing with the same thing, who not only survived, but figured out how to live their lives. And I think for me personally, that gave me hope of like, wow, there's a way to figure this out. Even if the movement is not necessarily moving forward, we can do this because look, these women did it.
And it comes at a weird socio-political time in our country. Adam, why do you think it might appeal to men?
I think that part of it, just to speak what we were just talking about, there was a kind of reaction against second wave feminism, saying that, because all the problems that it had, all the things that it didn't include, especially, that it was sort of too white, too middle class. This play doesn't ignore those problems. It actually addresses them very much head on. But it also has this sincerity about what all of these women were trying to do that feels less snarky and perhaps a little bit more generous to the intentions behind these things. And I think we're getting to a point where the snarkiness is not as rewarding as maybe once it was. And this sincerity that's at the core of this play is appealing.
The Muppets are making their Broadway debut this season in Rob Lake Magic with special guests, the Muppets.
Hi-ho there, Rob.
Kermit the Frog, what are you doing here?
Well, I wanted to congratulate you on your new Broadway show.
What struck me is that it's playing a large theater. It's playing at the Broadhurst Theater. And I think it's playing a very large stage because Rob Lake's magic acts are huge.
Apparently they're huge. I spoke to him and he said, I was a little kid who wanted to do Broadway, but I also loved magic. And so like the spectacle, I mean, I guess we think of magic as spectacle anyway, but really magic can be card tricks, magic can be close up, magic can be sleight of hand. And he has always been a big grand illusions kind of magician. And I said to him, how did you get the Muppets? Like, they don't just let those guys out, you know?
True.
And he said, I shot for the stars and I couldn't believe they said yes, but it should be noted that the Muppets say no to a lot more than they say yes.
I wonder what the magic will be in Oedipus. Certainly the cast is magical. I mean, Mark
This is
Strong
the show
and Lesley
I'm
Manville.
most looking forward
Why?
to. I guess to start because we don't get the great Greek plays done very much. I mean, it's not like Shakespeare or Chekhov where they're just done all the time. So to get this interpretation, Robert Icke has engaged with the Greeks before. He updates while preserving, the integrity of the play itself. But for me,
It's modern day.
It's a
right?
modern day interpretation of the Oedipus myth. 2000 millennia, spoiler alert, about the guy who kills his father and marries his mother. Unknowingly. It stars Mark Strong and Lesley Manville. Mark Strong made a really strong impression when he did A View from the Bridge a few
I completely
years
agree.
ago.
I was
Tony
captivated.
nominated
Just
for it.
his,
Lesley,
the acting in his eyes.
he was great. But Lesley Manville, who is making her Broadway debut, for me, I call her Can Do No Wrong, Lesley Manville. I am so excited to see Lesley Manville that I may break my rule and stage door. I am really looking forward to seeing this production. She won the Olivier for playing Jocasta, and I'm just totally excited.
Yeah. Marjorie Prime, obviously, you've all seen before, right? When it was Off-Broadway.
So Lois Smith.
Lois Smith started at the time. It was a runner-up for the Pulitzer. It was a finalist for the Pulitzer. What did you think of it when you saw it some years ago, as I recall?
Well, Jordan Harrison may be the
writer.
The playwright. He may be the smartest person writing today, for my money. His plays are so thoughtful and yet very intellectual, and yet he finds the heart in the works that he's doing.
It's about a woman with Alzheimer who uses technology to recover her memory.
Yeah, it's slightly in the future.
No?
The woman
Sorry.
is going to be June Squibb, who is 94? 94 years old, and she's going to be stepping into the shoes, the very big shoes, of Lois Smith, who did both the play and the movie. There was a movie with John Hamm. And this play not only is going to have June Squibb, but it's going to have Cynthia Nixon and Danny Burstein.
Who does Cynthia Nixon play?
Cynthia Nixon plays her daughter. And Danny Burstein plays the memory of her husband, who is reincarnated in this sort of advanced AI character, I'll say that.
Another play that seems just as timely as Marjorie Prime, and that is Bug, given the fact that its protagonist is someone who is so vulnerable to paranoia and conspiracy theories, and envelops a woman, in this case, Carrie Coon, into his world of paranoia.
This is a play that I've thought about a lot since seeing
By
it the
Tracy
first time.
Letts.
Yeah, so Tracy Letts wrote this play in the early 21st century, and now his wife, Carrie Coon, is going to be starring in it. This production also was at Steppenwolf earlier, and David Cromer, the extremely busy, extremely talented, extremely intelligent David Cromer, is going to be directing this. I am very much looking forward to this. It is, as you say, and we don't want to spoil too much about the arc of the play, but it is about paranoia. It's about the implanting of
supposed
memes.
Yeah.
It's about how ideas can grow.
And who plays the anti-hero?
Namir Smallwood.
Namir Smallwood. Wait, can I wax poetic about Namir for a second? Because I first saw him in Pipeline off-Broadway at Lincoln Center Theater in 2017, I want to say, and he blew me away. He's now a Steppenwolf ensemble member. We cannot overstate his brilliance. I believe he was in one of the incarnations of Passover, and he's a quiet titan. And I think that even more than the subject of this play, it's the ingredients of the talent, whether it's Carrie, whether it's Namir. Tracy Letts is our, not on this show, but Pulitzer Prize winner, and David Cromer is the director. But Namir has had my heart for some years.
That rounds up the Broadway plays that will be a part of the fall season. Off-Broadway has a lot of offerings and a lot of starry offerings.
Thick packet.
A very thick packet. Certainly one of the most highly anticipated is the revival of Anna Christie, the Eugene O'Neill play. And it brings to the stage Michelle Williams, directed by her husband, Tommy Kail, and also Tom Sturridge and Brian Darcy James. This takes place at St. Anne's Warehouse. Are you fond of this play?
I am.
Why?
Well, because I'm a Eugene O'Neill girl. So I just...
Does that make you depressed and alcoholic and drug-ridden?
I don't know what it says about me, but yeah. I mean, this is one of his 4 Pulitzer Prize-winning plays. No other playwright has won as many Pulitzers as Eugene O'Neill. And he is the father, really, of the modern American drama. This is an earlier play of his, and it's a lovely, fragile story about a woman whose father abandoned her when she was a child. She, in order to survive, becomes a prostitute. When the play opens, she comes to reunite with him and then meets a young seaman who may offer her a different kind of life. And it's a four-hander. There's another character. It's a lovely play, and I think that Michelle Williams is perfect for it.
In the minutes that we have left, and we don't have a lot of time left, I would like to ask you about your choices in this very thick folder of off-Broadway choices, particularly those that may most appeal to our viewers.
So the 2 that jump out to me are Meet the Cartosians over at Second Stage, another David Cromer vehicle. I'm on the David Cromer train as well. I'm on a bunch of trains.
I'm on that one too.
David Cromer is just expert. And it's a new playwright, Helene Monahan, and
she's done some other stuff.
Yes, newer to, I would say, like a bigger stage, like Second Stage, about 2 generations of Armenian Americans, 1920s, present day.
In relation to the Kardashians?
Yes.
Surprise. And the cast includes...
Any similarities are purely coincidental.
And the cast includes Will Brill, who of course won the Tony for Stereophonic, Andrea Martin, who has played so many different ethnicities in the arena, in the geographic proximity of Armenia, but is actually Armenian. So that's exciting, as well as Nael Nasser, who was in Prayer for the French Republic, which, based on the synopsis, it sounds like it has some relation to that, the idea of a family and 2 generations and et cetera. The other one for me is Kyoto, which is coming to Lincoln Center Theater, from the same writers as The Jungle, directed by Justin Martin and Stephen Daldry, about the Kyoto climate conference in 1997. And so that is giving me Oslo vibes of this moment in time of, which way will it go, that no matter which way it goes, it shapes the future. And I think the team that's bringing us that is going to be pretty brilliant.
Adam.
So hard to choose. Honestly, there are like 40 off-Broadway shows.
Go ahead.
Super strong. I'll throw it in the air, and it'll come down on Oh Happy Day. I'm really excited about it. It's at the Public Theater. It is by Jordan E. Cooper, who at the Public did a show called Ain't No Mo a few years ago that was transferred too briefly to Broadway. I think that he's a brilliant talent. And in this one, he's going to be taking on a modern version of the Noah's Ark myth. That sounds very promising to me. There's also music in it by a gospel star named Donald Lawrence, and it'll be performed by these three of the best voices on Broadway. That will be in itself appealing to me. There's a play called Nothing Can Take You from the Hand of God that is playing at Playwrights. It is a solo show with this woman named Jen Tulloch. She is on Severance. She plays the sister on Severance. And from the moment I saw her on Severance, I'm not really familiar with her work, but I saw her on Severance and I said, I want to see more of this person.
Jan?
It is hard, Adam. It is hard. I'm going to go with Archduke, which is by Rajiv Joseph, another playwright that I really love. I'm just really happy about this season. So many great playwrights. I just really am. I'm usually kind of like, but this time I'm really excited. And this is a play about the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, which helped to start World War I. Rajiv is casting the revolutionaries who assassinated the Archduke as kind of like a bunch of hapless, trying to figure out who they are teens. Some overtures to today, unfortunate overtures to today. So that'll be very interesting. And I guess the other one is Martina Mayok's play Queen. And it's about a group of immigrant women who are undocumented immigrants who live together and try to support one another as they try to make it here and make a better life for their children who are in all different parts of the world. Another play that is really speaking to our contemporary
Absolutely.
times.
Well, thank you very much for joining us in Speed Dating. We speeded through a lot, but you were so articulate about all the stuff that we covered, so I thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, at the theater.
And look forward to seeing a lot of these shows.
And thank you for joining us. We'll continue to bring you conversations with the creative talents who live and work only to astonish us. Don't forget to download the CUNY TV app to watch all of our exciting and provocative shows, also streaming on YouTube. I'm Patrick Pacheco.